Hi everyone, this is Ashlyn Bailey, and I'm excited to share with you my results from the Can You Filter Your Water STEM activity. So it was interesting to me that it is very true that infiltration is not typically a concept discussed in elementary education. I know that because it's not something I remember being taught, and I know that as a third grade teacher, we really do not touch on this at all up until third grade at least. So inquiry itself really refers to two different things. For one, it refers to how scientists study the natural world and propose explanations based on the evidence, but then it also refers to those student activities where they are developing knowledge and understanding of scientific ideas, and that's really what we were engaging in here. So I set up this presentation so that it sort of goes in the order of the 5 features of science inquiry to show really how this models each of those steps. So the first step is the learner engaging in scientifically oriented questions, and that's really where we began with this, was really wondering how does the process of infiltration naturally filter rainwater within the earth, and we needed to create a model that really showed this. The second step is when the learner gives priority to evidence in responding to questions. So we all engaged in this activity and tried to find evidence that match the question that we were being asked. So I ran 3 different trials where I mixed up the materials within the cups and arranged them differently and really tried to see which one was going to give me the clearest water. And it turned out that my third trial actually gave me the clearest water, and you can see that down here. And in this model, I had my cheesecloth in the first cup. I then did a layer of mesh. I then had a layer of the charcoal in the third cup, the second cup, I'm sorry. The third cup I did alum on the bottom with sand on top, and then my final cup was the gravel, and this is what had given me the clearest water. So that brings us to the next step, which is when the learner formulates explanations from evidence. So I really needed to understand why this was the case, and I'm going to be honest, I did not bring much background knowledge to this activity. So really the materials that we were given to look through were my only source of knowledge really going into this. So it was important for me to then compare my results and understand why the different layers in the order that they were in provided the clearest water in that third trial. So this is when it really means that you need to engage in some additional learning. So I needed to understand why this was the case. So I did some research to better understand the soil layers and to see if I can really match up why these materials ordered in that way worked the best. And finally, the learner then needs to communicate and justify explanations. And so we're doing that by doing this presentation, and students can easily do this sort of thing in the classroom too. So the inquiry continuum, I would say that this activity was a structured inquiry activity, and that was because we were given the question and the materials, but then everything else was really learner self-directed. And you can see that where I sort of circled on here what I thought matched this activity the best, and I thought it was great. I loved that we were sort of able to test out and do some different trials to really see what worked the best. So I really enjoyed this activity. I'm sure many of you did as well, and I definitely learned something new that I can now apply to my own classroom, which is great.